Worry changes nothing. So why can't you stop? Buddhist wisdom. You already know this. You've probably told yourself 100 times. Worry doesn't change anything. It doesn't pay the bills. It doesn't bring back what's lost. It doesn't make tomorrow any clearer. And yet, here you are, lying awake at 2 a.m., your mind running through the same thoughts again and again. The job you might lose, the money you don't have, the relationship that's falling apart, the future that feels like fog, thick, heavy, impossible to see through. You know worrying won't help, but you can't stop. And maybe, if you're honest with yourself, the hardest part isn't even the worry itself. It's something else. It's the quiet voice that whispers, "Why can't I just let this go? What's wrong with me?" That guilt, that sense of failure, the feeling that you should be stronger, calmer, more together, that other people seem to handle life just fine, but you're stuck in this loop, and you don't know how to get out. I want to say something to you, and I want you to hear it clearly. You are not alone in this. More than 2,500 years ago, a man sat beneath a tree and looked deeply into the nature of human suffering. His name was Siddhartha Gautama. We call him the Buddha, the one who woke up. And when he opened his eyes to the truth, he didn't say, "Stop suffering." He didn't say, "Just think positive." He didn't demand that we push away our pain through sheer willpower. He said something far more simple and far more profound. He said, "This is suffering." That was the first of the Four Noble Truths, the foundation of everything he taught. Not a command, not a judgment, just an acknowledgement. A clear, honest look at what it means to be human. Suffering exists. Pain exists. The worry that keeps you up at night, it exists. And the Buddha's first response was not to fix it, not to explain it away, but to see it, to name it, to say, "Yes, this is real." There's something deeply healing in that simple acknowledgement. Because so often, we add a second layer of pain on top of the first. We worry, and then we feel bad for worrying. We suffer, and then we suffer because we think we shouldn't be suffering. But what if, just for a moment, you allowed yourself to feel what you feel, without the judgment? What if you said to yourself, "I'm worried," and that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm failing. It means I'm human. Your situation is real. The debt, the uncertainty, the fear of what might happen. None of that is an illusion. The heartbreak, the health scare, the pressure from family, the weight of starting over in a new country, these are not small things. They are heavy, and it makes sense that you feel their weight. Worrying doesn't mean you're weak. If anything, it means you care. It means you love. It means there are things in your life that matter to you. People, dreams, a future you're trying to build. That's not a flaw. That's what it means to be alive. But here's where the Buddha's teaching goes deeper. He didn't stop at the first truth. He said, there is a cause, there is an end, and there is a path. So before we go any further, I want to invite you into a different kind of conversation. Not a lecture, not a list of tips, but an exploration. A quiet, honest look at what's really happening when your mind won't stop spinning. Not to judge yourself, just to understand. Let's slow down and ask a simple question. When you worry, when your mind keeps circling the same thoughts, the same fears, the same what ifs, what is actually happening? It might seem obvious. You're thinking about a problem. You're trying to prepare. You're trying to protect yourself from something bad that might happen. But if you look closer, something strange emerges. You've thought about this problem 100 times, 1,000 times, and yet the thinking never seems to finish. It never arrives at a solution. It just keeps going, like a wheel spinning in mud, getting nowhere. Why? The Buddha offered an answer to this question more than 2.5 millennia ago. He called it dependent origination, a chain of causes and conditions that give rise to suffering. And at the very base of this chain, he placed something called avijja. We translate this word as ignorance, but that translation can be misleading. It doesn't mean stupidity. It doesn't mean lack of education. It means something more subtle. Not seeing clearly. Not seeing what? Not seeing that everything is changing. Not seeing that nothing can be held onto forever. Not seeing that the solid, fixed future your mind is trying to control doesn't actually exist yet. This is the ground on which worry grows. The mind looks at life, at relationships, at money, at health, and it sees them as permanent, as something that can be secured, made safe. And then reality moves. Uncertainty appears, and the mind panics. It tries to think its way to safety. It tries to predict every possible outcome, control what cannot be controlled. And because the future has not arrived, because there is nothing solid there to grasp, the mind finds nothing to hold on to. So it keeps spinning, keeps searching for ground that isn't there. But ignorance alone doesn't explain the full picture. Worry usually runs through a more immediate chain. It works something like this. An unpleasant feeling arises, maybe a tightness in your chest, a sense of dread, a flash of fear, and immediately the mind reacts. It wants to escape that feeling. It wants to fix it, control it, make it go away. This is craving. And from craving comes clinging. The mind latches onto a particular outcome. If only this would happen, I'd be okay. If only I could be sure, I'd finally relax. But that certainty never comes. So the clinging continues. And with it, the worry. The Buddha didn't see this as a moral failing. He saw it as a process, a pattern that runs automatically when we don't see it clearly. It's what happens when the mind hasn't yet found peace. In the teachings, there's a list called the 5 hindrances, 5 states that cloud the mind. One of them is called uddhacca kukucca, which we translate as restlessness and remorse. It's a state of agitation, of inner unease, of not being able to settle. The mind jumps from thought to thought. It revisits the past with regret. It races toward the future with anxiety. This is the texture of worry. And the Buddha didn't call it a sin. He called it a hindrance, something that covers the mind, like clouds covering the sun. The sun is still there. The clarity is still there, but something is blocking it. Think of a lake stirred by wind. The water is cloudy, disturbed, full of ripples. You can't see the bottom. But the ripples are not the lake's fault. They're just what happens when wind blows across the surface. Your worry is like those ripples. It's not a defect in you. It's just what happens when the winds of uncertainty blow across a mind that hasn't yet learned to be still. And here's the key insight. The mind keeps worrying because it believes that thinking will solve the problem. But you cannot think your way into a future that has not arrived. The future is not a room you can walk into and organize. It's a horizon that keeps moving as you move. So the mind spins. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because it doesn't yet see that this spinning will never reach the destination it's looking for. Understanding this doesn't make the worry disappear, but it loosens the grip. Once you see the pattern clearly, you're no longer completely lost inside it. That's where the path begins. There's a common misunderstanding about Buddhist practice. Many people think the goal is to empty the mind, to stop thinking, to reach some state of perfect blankness. And from that misunderstanding comes frustration. I tried to meditate, but I couldn't stop my thoughts. I must be doing it wrong. But the Buddha never asked us to stop thinking. What he offered was something different. He offered a way to work with the mind, not against it. In one of his most practical teachings, the Vitakkasaṇṭhāna Sutta, the Buddha spoke directly about what to do when unwholesome thoughts keep arising. Thoughts that spin and repeat, thoughts that won't let go. This is exactly what worry is. And the Buddha didn't say, just stop thinking. He offered methods to be used one after another. He understood that the mind cannot simply be forced into silence. It must be guided, with patience, with skill, with understanding. The first method, when an unskillful thought keeps arising, turn your attention to something else, something wholesome, something that brings ease. He gave a vivid image, like a skilled carpenter who uses a small peg to knock out a larger peg from a piece of wood. Think about that. The carpenter doesn't fight the large peg. They don't push against it with brute force. They simply use something finer, something more precise, to displace it. You don't fight the thought directly. You simply replace it, gently, skillfully. The breath, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the simple fact that you are still here, still breathing. The worry doesn't need to be defeated. It just needs to be given less space. But sometimes, even this doesn't work. The thought keeps returning, again and again. So the Buddha offered a second method. Examine the drawbacks of the thought. Ask yourself honestly, does this worry bring me peace? Does it solve the problem? Or does it only add more weight to what I'm already carrying? When you truly see what worry does to you, how it exhausts your body, how it steals your sleep, how it pulls you away from the people you love and the life that's actually here, you begin to lose your appetite for it. Not through force, through seeing clearly. And if that still doesn't work, try to forget and ignore it. This is not denial. This is wisdom. Not every thought deserves your attention. Not every fear needs to be examined, analyzed, turned over and over in your hands. Sometimes, the kindest thing you can do for yourself is simply look elsewhere. But there are times when even this fails. The thought is persistent. It keeps returning, no matter what you try. For this, the Buddha offered another method, and this one speaks directly to the heart of worry. He said, focus on stopping the formation of the thought itself, and he gave a beautiful image. Imagine a person who is walking quickly, rushing, mind spinning with activity. At some point, they pause and ask themselves, why am I walking so fast? So they slow down. Then, why don't I stand still? So they stand. Then, why don't I sit? So they sit. And finally, why don't I lie down and rest? The person doesn't try to stop all at once. They gradually settle, step by step, moving from agitation toward stillness, from rushing to walking, from walking to standing, from standing to sitting, from sitting to rest. This is perhaps the most profound instruction for working with worry. You don't need to force the mind to stop. You just need to ask, why is my mind running so fast? Can I slow down just a little? Each time you ask that question, something shifts. You're no longer lost in the content of your thoughts. You're seeing the process itself. And in that seeing, the momentum begins to fade. You are no longer being the worry. You are the one watching it slow down. There's a story that speaks to this beautifully. Kisā Gotamī was a young mother whose only son died suddenly. Her grief was so overwhelming that she carried his body through the streets, begging for medicine to bring him back. When she came to the Buddha, he didn't lecture her. He simply said, "Bring me a mustard seed from a household where no one has ever died." She went house after house, and at every door, we have also lost someone. A father, a mother, a child. No one was untouched. No family had been spared. She wasn't taught anything in that journey, but she saw. She saw that her loss was not hers alone. That grief is woven into the fabric of human life. The Buddha didn't heal her by taking away her pain. He healed her by helping her see more clearly. This is what the path offers. Not a way to eliminate worry, but a way to be with it differently, to slow down, to see, to loosen the grip, little by little, moment by moment. You don't have to become someone who never worries. You just have to become someone who sees the worry clearly and is not completely lost inside it. That is the path. We've traveled a long way together. We've looked at the nature of worry, its roots, and the path of seeing clearly. But before we close, there's one more thing I want to offer you. And in some ways, it may be the most important thing of all. It's about how you treat yourself. In the Dhammapada, one of the most beloved collections of the Buddha's sayings, there's a verse that has stayed with me for decades. Verse 160. Atta hi attano natho. You are your own refuge. This is often read as a call to self-reliance. But I think there's a deeper meaning. To be your own refuge means to be a safe place for yourself. It means to treat yourself with the same kindness, the same patience, the same care that you would offer to someone you love. Let me ask you something. If your closest friend came to you, exhausted, anxious, unable to sleep because their mind wouldn't stop racing, what would you say to them? Would you say, "What's wrong with you? Why can't you just relax? You're so weak"? I don't think you would. I think you would sit with them. I think you would listen. I think you would say, "I understand. This is hard. You're not alone. It's okay to feel this way." So why, when you are the one who is struggling, do you speak to yourself so differently? This is the practice of self-compassion, and it's not soft. It's not indulgent. It's one of the bravest things you can do, because the habit of self-criticism runs deep. Many of us learned early that we had to be hard on ourselves to succeed, to be worthy. We learned that kindness toward ourselves was laziness, that self-acceptance was giving up. But the Buddha taught something different. He taught that hatred never ceases by hatred. It only ceases by love. And this applies not only to how we treat others, but to how we treat ourselves. You don't have to fight your worry. You don't have to conquer it, defeat it, push it out by force. What would happen if instead you simply sat with it, like sitting with a friend who is tired, a friend who needs presence, not advice? I see you. I know you're here. It's okay. You can rest now. This is not giving up. This is giving space. And in that space, something begins to soften. The worry may not disappear tonight. Your situation may not change by morning. The bills will still be there. The uncertainty will still be there. But there is one thing you can do right now, in this very moment. You can come home. Come home to this breath. This one breath, moving in and out. Not the breath from 5 minutes ago. Not the breath you'll take tomorrow. This breath. Here. Now. Come home to this body. Feel your feet on the ground. Feel the rise and fall of your chest. You are here. You are alive. You are present. And in this moment, not in the imagined future, not in the remembered past, but right here, you are okay. You are breathing. You have made it this far. That is not nothing. That is everything. In the Dhammapada, verse 81, there's another image that has guided practitioners for centuries. Like a solid rock unmoved by the wind, the wise are not shaken by praise or blame. The rock is not hard because it's closed off. It's steady because it's grounded. It knows where it stands. And maybe we can learn to be like that. Not unmoved by life, but unshaken by the storms that pass through. Not free from thoughts, but free from being pushed around by every thought that arises. The winds will blow. The worries will arise. About money, about love, about health, about all the things we cannot control. But if you are grounded in this moment, grounded in your own presence, then the winds can blow, and you will not be swept away. You don't need to become someone without thoughts. You just need to become someone who is not shaken by thoughts. Someone who can feel the worry, see the worry, and still remain present. Still remain kind. Still remain whole. Each time you come back to the breath, you are practicing this. Each time you notice the mind has wandered and gently bring it back, you are building this steadiness. Each moment of awareness, one after another, is the path itself. There is no destination to arrive at. There is only this moment, this breath, this practice of returning, again and again, to where you already are. May you be kind to yourself in the days ahead. May you remember that worry is not a sign of weakness, but a sign that you are alive and you care. May you see your thoughts clearly, without being lost in them. And may you know, deeply, truly, that you are your own refuge. You always have been. The path is not somewhere else. The path is here, and you are already walking it. May you be at peace.